Why are we on What the Flick said? Okay. Now, today, I had to do a couple things, so I missed What the Flick. I was going to do it with Christy, Matt, etc. And we were going to do Eat, Pray, Love, right? But all of a sudden, this is What the Flick Part 2. Okay? Anna and I both saw Eat, Pray, Love, and we're coming. Okay? So, Anna, let's do it like What the Flick. What was Eat, Pray, Love about? Eat,
Pray, Love was about a woman's journey through divorce and through self-discovery. Okay.
Self-discovery.
And it's a true story. It's based on an actual book that was written by a woman who went through divorce and who was trying to find who she was and trying to find happiness in her life. And she did so by taking a year off and traveling to Italy, India, and Bali.
So in the book they say, it's based on a book of course, the 3 I's, Italy, India, and Indonesia. She went to the 3 I's to find herself. So this is not a chick flick. This is designed 100% for women, okay? Not for men, not for like, hey, romantic chick flick, etc., right?
It is, yes.
So, did it work or did it not work? I have very strong opinions, so does Casper. Ms. Kasparian, what did you think of the movie?
I love the movie. I really enjoyed it. And the reason why I enjoyed it is because it did exactly what it set out to do. It attracted the target audience. I was the target audience. And there were parts of the movie where I could totally relate. And I felt like I was going through that journey with her.
Oh.
All right. No, every time I say something, you're going to make fun of me. So
no, I don't know what she's talking about.
I'm going to feel clownish. Okay. But look, the movie starts out with the #1 thing that I fear in my life. That I'm going to end up marrying someone and settling for a life because society tells me that I need to settle. All right, you know what?
I'm playing. Keep going. Okay, so that's real. Okay, and then what else happens?
Okay, so that's what happens in the beginning of the movie. She finds herself in this marriage. She feels that she is settled for it. Are we?
No, that's okay. So you're instantly hooked because you relate to her.
I can relate to her, and she's living through my biggest fear.
Okay.
Okay, and I want to see how she's going to get out of it.
Okay, see, that's interesting. See, I hated the movie, okay? And I feel bad for saying that because I know a lot of people are going to love the movie, and I know it's not my demo. It's not made for me. And my sister can't wait to see it. I feel like I'm personally betraying my sister by saying I hate the movie, okay? But it just wasn't for me. And since I didn't identify with her at all, right, then I was like, okay, what's the point of this movie? Like, you couldn't wait to see what happens with the Enlightenment and the personal da-da-da. I was like, okay, like a movie needs, in my opinion, it's not, of course, not 100% of the cases, but what it helps is if it has a question that you want answered by the end of the movie. Like, oh, I wonder how that's going to turn out. Well, I knew how it was going to turn out. It was going to be one boring series after another of her trying to find herself, and in the end, she was going to kind of find it. Right? There was no drama for me. And so it was interminable. I thought the movie lasted 8 hours.
Yeah, first of all, it didn't last 8 hours, but it was a really long movie. It was about 2 hours and I think 15 minutes. So even though
12 hours.
Even though I enjoyed the movie, I felt that it was too long. I wish that they could find a way to cut out some of the scenes. It dragged on a little bit.
So she's in America, right? The divorce, da-da-da. That's not giving away anything. She goes to Italy, and they're done with Italy, and I'm like, oh my God, she still has to go to India and Bali. I'm like, no, please, this movie can't only be about a third over. And then, no, it is. And she goes to India and takes 2.5 years there. And then she goes to Bali and takes 48 years there. And I'm like, please, I got it already. Find the enlightenment already so I can move on with my life. Am I being wrong?
No, you're not being wrong because you're right. You can't identify with this movie whatsoever. This is a movie that a lot of women, I think especially a lot of, middle-aged women that are in this unhappy marriage can relate to. You know? And the reason why I like the movie so much is because it had so many messages for women. For instance, you don't have to settle. Society expects you to settle down with some guy and expects you to have children and expects you to constantly compromise yourself and compromise what you want to make a man happy. You don't have to do that. If you want to travel, go ahead and travel. If you need to discover yourself, take the time to do so.
All right, but now here comes the ironies, okay? And one of the themes of the movie is you don't need a guy, right? And you just find yourself, be happy with yourself. I mean, these are obvious things, right? And so what happens at the end of the movie? She finds a guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, irony on top of irony, and it seems like nobody acknowledges the irony.
But that was the love portion of it. Now,
I know, but isn't that funny? So you do this empowering movie for women, and at the end, well, she's got to get the love. Otherwise, what's the point? Otherwise, it's kind of a sad ending.
I know, but she found...
Come on, irony on top of irony.
She found love that was, how can I say it? That was risky, you know, rather than settling for something
so made for
comfortable.
Right. Yeah, that's the kind of thing women love. Like, oh, my love was risky. And then, like, 7 months later, you realize, oh, it was risky because it was a disaster. Then you're thinking about how to get divorced from that guy. Right? So, one last thing. James Franco and Julia Roberts at some point have a relationship in the movie. Again, that's not giving away anything. It's right in the beginning, etc., right? The least convincing relationship in movie history.
I agree with that 100%.
I was like, at no point did I believe that they were actually going out. In fact, it was so not convincing that I kept thinking, are they really going out? They can't be going out. I mean, no one has ever had less chemistry in a movie. Unbelievable. Disaster.
But, you know, I discussed this a little bit with JR, and he made a good point. Maybe that's what they were getting at. Maybe that's what the point was, because she got into this relationship with James Franco as a rebound. It was an immediate relationship right after her divorce.
I know, but even that, man, you just couldn't understand why they were together at all. It didn't make any sense. All right, so now that I've talked it down this much, stick to your original score. What was your original score?
My original score was 8, and the reason why
it's
an 8...
I thought you were going to give it like a 12 or something.
No. The reason why my score is an 8 is because, A, it dragged on too long, and also I didn't like the relationship between her and James Franco.
Oh, okay, all right, keeping it real. I'm also going to keep it real. I gave it a 2.8. Okay. Now, I wanted to give it higher, and I think it's unfair because it's not aimed at me, and so I wanted to give it a 6, and then I wanted to, as the movie went on, I was like, I want to give it a 4, and by the end of the movie, I couldn't. I had to give it a 2.8, and I'm kind of like, and I'm doing that because I'm a guy and it wasn't meant for me. Otherwise, I might have gone lower.